Hello and welcome or welcome back to the Import Export Hub channel, everybody. Bogdan here, your not so entertaining host for the next 10 minutes or so. Thanks for joining me. I hope everybody is doing great. And without prolonging this intro too much, let's dive into today's topic, in which I will cover 5 products worth importing from Greece. And guys, my first recommendation comes from heading 1509. So we are talking about olive oil, and as we can see together here, in 2022, Greece's exports from this heading amounted to some $843.5 million, which is some 4% more relative to 2021, with Italy, Germany, and the United States as the main partners, which were followed in this top 10 list by others like, I don't know, France or the United Kingdom, and it ends here with Poland, who managed to import some $7.7 million worth of olive oil, which is almost 33% more if we compare with the figures from the previous year. In what concerns the compound annual growth rate for the last 5 years, we see that almost all of the top 10 partners had positive figures, except for Austria and also Canada, who saw their imports decline with 9 and 7% respectively. While on a year-on-year basis, we have just Austria, who had a contraction. But on the positive side, again, on a year-on-year basis, we see that Italy and also Spain, which are the largest exporters of olive oil in the world, had the biggest absolute positive changes, with some $103.5 million more imports for the former and some $41.2 million for the latter. And guys, I'm not saying that the traders from these two particular countries are cornering the market, but it raises some questions, especially in what concerns Italy. Anyways, moving to the main drivers here, well, it seems that for both the United Kingdom and the US, we have the same subheading, so 150920, and we are talking about extra virgin olive oil, EU category 1. Moving now to my second recommendation for you, we have here heading 0302, fish, fresh or chilled, with almost $774 million worth of exports in 2022, with Italy here, Spain, and France as the main partners, which were followed in this top 10 list by others like, I don't know, the United States or Bulgaria. And it ends here with Cyprus, who managed an impressive $14.4 million. These top 10 partners weigh quite a lot in Greece's overall exports from this heading, some 93%, which is quite concentrated. But on the other side, we're talking about developed economies, mostly with high purchasing power, except maybe for Romania and Bulgaria. So the demand, in theory, should be stable. Now, relative to the year-on-year dynamics, we have a positive 4% overall, or almost $31.5 million in absolute terms, with Italy and also Portugal registering important contractions, but were offset by the good figures coming from the United States, Netherlands, and also France, who cumulatively increased their imports from Greece with almost, $34 million. As for the main drivers, I'm not going to embarrass myself reading the scientific description here, so I will read only the common one, and we have fresh or chilled sea bream towards Spain, and then we have fresh or chilled sea bass towards the United States, so we are talking about subheading 030284. Jumping now, guys, to my third recommendation, we have here heading 0403. So we are talking about buttermilk, curdled milk, yogurt, kefir, and other fermented or acidified milk. And as we can see here together, we have some $277 million worth of exports for 2022 with Italy, the United Kingdom, and France as the main partners, which were followed in this top 10 list by others like, I don't know, Belgium, Norway, and it ends here with Sweden, who in 2022 managed to import from Greece some $4 million worth of goods from this particular heading. In what concerns the compound annual growth rate, again for the last 5 years, we see that this is positive overall, some 8%, even though we have here Germany and Austria who had negative changes. But if we drill down on a year-on-year basis, we see that the change was positive, even though we're talking about 1% positive change. And here, guys, we have to consider the fact that this is a food-related item where demand is quite stable. If it were for me, I would focus my attention on what happens with the United Kingdom, as the exports towards this destination are on a downward trend, and maybe increase the markets in France or Belgium. Anyways, coming back to the year-on-year changes, here we see that on the positive side, we have Italy, who increased its imports with some $2.7 million, while on the negative one, we have the United Kingdom, who decreased its imports with some $2.5 million. As for the main drivers, well, we have identical subheadings for both Norway and Austria. So we are talking about yogurt, whether or not flavored. And most probably, guys, we're talking about the famous Greek yogurt. Moving now to my, fourth recommendation. We have here heading 6802. So monumental or building stone with some $190 million worth of exports for 2022, with the United States here, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia as the main partners, the three main partners, which were followed by others like, I don't know, Mexico or Australia. And it ends with China here, who managed to import some $4 million worth of products from this particular heading. In 2022, sadly down 11% from the previous year. And speaking of yearly changes, we see that the overall exports shrunk with 1.6% in relative terms, or $3.2 million in absolute ones, as the United States, Qatar, and also Cyprus had important contractions, who sadly weren't offset by the positive figures coming from Italy, Saudi Arabia, or Turkey. As for the main drivers, well, guys, for both the United Arab Emirates and Mexico, we have the same one, 680221. So we are talking about marble, travertine, and alabaster cut or sawn. And lastly, guys, my fifth recommendation for you comes from heading 0809. So we are talking about apricots, cherries, peaches, and plums, where Greece has a strong regional competitive advantage. And we see here that Romania, Germany, and Poland were Greece's main destinations for 2022, which were followed in this top 10 list by others like, I don't know, Italy or the Czech Republic. And it ends here with Spain, who in 2022 managed to import from Greece some $5 million worth of goods from this heading. In terms of compound annual growth rate, again for the last 5 years, we see a positive 2.7%, with almost all the top 10 partners registering positive figures, except for the Czech Republic, who had a negative 1.5%. But on the other hand, if we look at on year-on-year basis, it managed an impressive 116% positive change, which translated into $3.7 million more imports. And guys, as I'm covering the year-on-year dynamics, other important absolute positive changes happened in relation with Romania and Poland, as well as we're having some $10.4 million more imports for the former and almost $14 million for the latter, which is quite impressive, even though in this top 10 list we have two countries who registered contractions, so Bulgaria and Italy, but clearly not enough to offset the positive figures coming from the rest. As for the main drivers, well, it seems that for both Romania and the Czech Republic, fresh peaches and nectarines were the main ones, so we are talking about subheading 080930. And guys, with this sweet taste in the mind, these were my 5 recommendations for you. I hope you like it. Don't forget to hit those small vanity buttons below this video. And as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.